for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, so duelists are sitting down. I'm pretty sure the door is closed. All right, you ready? You ready as I whisper these deck lists? We have Caden Finney, who is going to be playing, I don't want to say the Sunseed Just Special, but it does so Sage of our current European champion. Again, it is going to be a Romage, Therion, Rika. So just all the Sunseeds you can eat. And then his opponent here actually, looks like Hector is going to be playing a really neat deck that we haven't actually seen today on the feature match stage. It is Sinful Spoil Snake Eye, but it's Sinful Spoil Snake Eye Fire King. And we haven't seen Fire King in a while. And speaking of things we haven't seen in a while, check out the playmat over there. That is some interesting stuff there as we see Cradle and Instant Fusion. And it looks like that grass looks greener. A lot of cool stuff. I'm going to pause here for our head judge to make some announcement. Here's some applause there as everyone is excited to be in round 8. Not too bad at 6 p.m. local time. All right, head judge gave the go-ahead for everybody else to go ahead and get going. So we're going to clear that cool playmat off the field. It is cool, man. I mean, that is a neat playmat, but we do have the wonderful OTS playmat here, so we want to make sure that we're getting good use out of that. So it'll be fun to see. This is going to be a really interesting match here because, you know, there's a lot of players in the European circuit who really know the power of the Rika Sun Avalon deck because, well, they've gotten clapped by it a couple of times. Not any duelists in particular, just, you know, all of the amazing tops that we've seen over there on the European shores. And then, you know, the Diabellstar strategy, certainly with the Fire Kings mixed in, is a good deck. People have not been playing it as much. I think the last time we really saw it pushed across the table proudly would be the Ultimate Duelist Series, the UDS. If you haven't taken a look at that, what an incredible tournament the Quarter Century Celebration was earlier this year. But hey, that was earlier this year. Let's flash forward to the present as an 11 slaps down on the page for Hector, and then Caden's going to slap down an 8. So I think we are going to be seeing our Fire King deck go first. Now, it is certainly a really cool deck. Yes, okay, we are seeing Shades of Sun Avalon there. Get your Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron ready as you try to keep up with every plant monster that ever existed. But it looks like we're going to start off with a staple here in Kashtira, Fenrir being special summoned, and then a follow-up from Bonfire. So probably going to get a little information here on the Snake Eye Ash, and you can always kind of tell, like, what do they have based on what they search. But it looks like we're just going to get the Snake Eye Ash. Snake Eye Ash is normal summoned. And the Infinite Permanence was going to stop it, but now we're going to see the 1-for-1 discarding Snake Eye Ash, probably to special summon the Poplar. Just a quick look at the hand here to decide. Hector not exactly pleased. It's one of those things where you're like, oh, I really wanted to resolve the effects the way I wanted to. But unfortunately, you don't always get to do that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a 2-player game. So as we scroll through the deck, we've got to figure out what our level 1 monster is going to be. And there certainly are some choices, but yes, it is going to be Snake Eye Poplar jumping in there. Taking just a brief look at Snake Eye Poplar's effects, right? If. The Infinite Permanence you might be seeing might be a super rare copy that just came out of the Rarity Collection there. As you see, it doesn't really have any holofoil card text there. But there are various printings of Infinite Permanence. I'll tell you, the Rarity Collection 1 and 2, just insane amounts of duelist support there. Everybody being able to jump in the game a little bit easier in multiple rarities, which also helps too. So, looks like another Infinite Permanence there. So, just 2 level 1 fire monsters sitting on the board. Hector leans forward and just thinks, well, wasn't going my way before, but 2 minutes into the turn here, he needs to make some kind of decision. And we know Snake Eye is good, but again, we just do not see Fire King every day. But looks like we're going to conduct a Link Summon there with the Kashtira Fenrir and the Snake Eye Ash. No, okay, that's going to be it. Oh, and he concedes the game, knowing there's really not much more that can be done from there. So just 2 perfectly timed Infinite Impermanences. Perhaps Hector didn't want to give away the guessing game, right? Effectively just not wanting to put forward the Fire King strategy before, his opponent actually got to see it. So just not interested in playing any further. And it is something you can do. Again, nobody's making you. Is that what I think it is? Those of you in the chat, you definitely see an Achuria Bamboo Shoot. I definitely see an Achuria Bamboo Shoot. That is not every day. But it is one of those things, again, where, we do have these two players on the bubble here, and sometimes, after a very long day, it's very easy to say, hey, I'm just going to sit here from the comfort of my keyboard and say, oh, man, I can do better than that. But you have to remember that these duelists woke up at whatever o'clock in the morning and had been dragging their dual discs around all day. But it does give them more time on the clock. Again, if you notice on the Neuron screen here, it's counting up 3 minutes and 30 seconds, meaning there's 41 minutes and some change moving forward. But he might just not have wanted to reveal the Fire King stuff. That's the main thing I could say. But hey, I guess we'll get a chance to interview our winner one way or the other. Man, that deck box has definitely seen some use there. That's how you know it's a real passionate duelist there. Now, it's also possible, too, when you consider that he's staring down a 60-card pile. Most of the time right now, the 60-card pile is typically conceived of by opposing duelists as branded strategies. And some people don't want to get puppet locked, as it's called. Give it Puppet Nightmare being really easy to bring out using Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. We actually saw that in round 9, the final Swiss round of day 1 of YCS Indianapolis. So if you need to see just some of the highest caliber gimmick puppet lock, and you might be saying to yourself, why would I ever want to watch that? Trust me, it's a good match. Don't go away yet. But after this, when you're still looking for some Yu-Gi-Oh!, you might want to check that stream out. All right, so looks like Caden smiling to himself. Certainly, feeling just a little bit okay, right? Started off with a pretty decent deck here and shuffling one half of the deck, right? When you get a 60-card stack, you definitely have to do it one hand at a time. Certainly those in the chat figuring out some of the card interactions there. It is true that sometimes your effect negations do chase you down. So you can't just give up 2 resources and just say, oh, man. Now, this tournament is a regional championship. The live stream is put on by the official tournament store for those of you watching at home. But this is a regional championship, so the top 48 out of our 250-ish remaining duelists. We started with 420, but we've whittled down as people are like, yeah, you know what? I didn't have the greatest time here, so maybe I'll enter some of the public events. Speaking of the greatest time, though, it looks like we are a much better start here with the Pressured Planet Raidsaunt adding the Kashtira Fenrir, or excuse me, Kashtira Unicorn this time from the deck to the hand. Going to go ahead and special summon that. So let's take a look here, and that's going to go ahead and grab the Kashtira bird. So off to a much stronger start there. Again, the Kashtira monsters still good. Don't even have to run that many of them. They have really just taken the tournament scene by storm since their release last year, or actually technically late later 2022 in Darkwing Blast. But speaking of a blast from the past, we are seeing the Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils be activated there. Probably going to go grab us some Diabell Star. So now we're going to see Diabell Star the Black Witch get rid of that field spell. It's already kind of done what it was supposed to do. So Pressure Point Raidsaunt hits the graveyard, and we are off to the races again to set a card. And of course, it is the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. Definitely a lot more of the Diabell Star storyline left to go as we approach the Infinite Forbidden here. And I guess we're calling them White Woods for now, but it's kind of interesting to see that Diabell Star and Diabeels were just precious little, puny little children. We're just trying to learn some magic from a certain wizard. And, well, things didn't go according to plan, but much like Hector dusted himself off and got back into game 2, sometimes that is just what you have to do. So we are seeing the Dark Charmer Gloomy. And that is actually going to be using the Kashtira Bird to get another material on the field, and those monsters will combine to make Celine. So the Master Magicians is here. Going to go ahead and count up the spells. Oh, we got one, so there's one spellcaster. So now we have an easy link for And that's going to make a 2-material Appaloosa. So we've seen this play pretty consistently. It's just an easy way to kind of get into the game and quickly have that additional summon there and sort of protect yourself from Nibiru as well, which is at least those 2 monster negates from the effective Appaloosa. But now we're seeing the original Sinful Spoils flip over, get rid of the Kashtira bird that's already kind of done what it's supposed to, and now the Fire Kings come out. This will be interesting. A little bit of a pause there from Caden as he gives a thumb up, and then we are going to see Pawnex go ahead and grab the Sanctuary. Taking a moment there, and now it's time to use Snake Eye Ash, and hopefully we don't over course correct on this one. No, we did not, so it is going to be able to go ahead and add from the deck to the hand the Poplar. Poplar's effect activates, so we special summon. We know where we're going with this one. Let's go ahead and grab the Field Spell with Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. So much better start here for sure. But leaning mostly on the Snake Eye side instead of the Fire King side. I mean, the Fire Kings are obviously in there. We're looking at one of them right now, but Pawnex may not be enough to really get things going. We're going to see the Snake Eye Flamberge Dragon. Flamberge has just been such an incredible card. It was kind of overlooked. If you remember when it first came out, trading for that was not, a high amount. People were just like, okay, that's cool. It's a nice secret rare. Thank you. But nowadays, I think we really see the power of the card. And now, speaking of powers of cards, we're seeing Doolittle Chimera. It's not every day that you see the attribute-based link monsters that came out very early once the link mechanic came out. But now, after special summoning those 2 fire level 1 monsters, going to see an IP Masquerina. Probably, I want to say... Oh, there's the Sanctuary, so we're going to go ahead and get our Fire King Island. Still uncommon, by the way, after all these years. Surprised that I had a reprint. We'll save that for Rarity Collection 3, right? You could start your wish list. But now that we've got that, just going to go ahead and destroy a card there. Use the effect of the Doolittle Chimera to grab a fire from the graveyard, as well as bring out our Garunix here. And then there goes the Fire King Arvata. So Arvata, certainly a powerful card. It's always fun when you can negate an effect and not necessarily negate an activation, especially in the day and age we're in where there's just multiples and multiples, right? It's just good to turn it off and make them use the fact that they activated it that turn. Speaking of using stuff, it looks like Doolittle Chimera and Garunix go to the graveyard in order to make the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames, which will put out the Flamberge Dragon in attack mode. So this is looking a lot better, and it's looking like the caliber of play that we saw at the Ultimate Duelist series featuring the Fire King Snake Eye mashup here, right? 2 great tastes taste great together, right? We're already cooking something up in this kitchen. Why don't we go ahead and turn up the heat? And speaking of turn up the heat, man, I cannot remember the last time that I saw the amphibious swarm ship Amblo Whale. But now we're going to see Zealantis. I'm still always like, what? When Zealantis is used with a 1+ effect monster, but hey, a link 4 for a link 4. Sure, why not? Going to go and put that at the bottom of the deck and get our draw there. So just really strong commanding board there with multiple negates, co-linked monsters, and an IP Masquerina to boot, and the ability of the Flamberge Dragon to special summon the Arvata to make sure that nothing too crazy happens. Being able to destroy one of your own fire cards for a monster negate's pretty good. We saw some very difficult play lines made. Oh, but it looks like instead we're going to go ahead and bring out the Snake Eye Bellstar there. Arvata's good, but we might have something better cooked up considering we already have Appaloosa on the field. So IP Masquerina and Snake Eye Bellstar going back out. Hey, I'll need my extra deck back, Judge. We'll take that, please. There's an SP Little Knight using the proper materials there. Proper when you think of the storyline, so of course it will not be able to be destroyed by card effects, that protection from IP Masquerina. Oh, but now we've got evenly matched. Was it worth it? Well, there's a couple of different weird things you can do, but it looks like we're just going to go ahead and banish some cards face down here. So leaving it just with the Appaloosa with 2 materials there. I don't think it's used any of its attack points just yet, so it should be at 1,600 attack. Now, if you're curious on how some cards got face down and some cards remain face up, the SP Little Knight, of course, you can use effect to just pick some stuff off the field. Let me jump out of there, and that means we are going to get the cool destruction effects of the Fire King Islands. So because Fire King Island blowing up all these little fire monsters, now we get to see who's large and in charge. So level 1 Brigade's back. Snake Eye Ash, Snake Eye Poplar, and Doolittle Chimera. Does go to show you, sometimes you can't save game 1, but you still got 2, maybe 3 duels left. So play the best of your ability like Hector is here, and you'll see some good news soon. Oh, but speaking of which, you did see the Gamma Seal there, and so Gamma Seal is going to tribute off the Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. This is where it gets fun. It's Rika time. Now, none of these cards are going to stay on the field particularly long, because that is kind of how the Rika Sun Avalon strategy works, right? I don't think anybody's going to pull off a Sunseed Jess and do the entire combo here in 50 seconds, but it could happen. Ooh, now we do get to see Kieran stomping down on the board there, and that means that the Poplar gets to use its effect. So Poplar replaced the Snake Eye Bellstar there in the Spell and Trap Zone. So now there's Arvada, so just a huge amount of board presence there, and still was able to get a Monster Negate back on the board, which may be able to help out with all the Rika stuff. Again, just so much power in that full 60 cards. Just whatever plants you get, just play whatever you grab. And speaking of which, our next card approaches the board. Oh, now we haven't gotten to see any Ragnaraka here at our top tables. It looks like the Ragnaraka Evil Seed hits the field. Taking a quick look there. Again, Legacy of Destruction's only been out for a couple of weeks there. Everybody's time commitment to the great game we love is different, so they may just be reading the cards that have hit the top tables, and they may not be, reading through everything. That's the problem, though. Then these great decks that are good but not popular sneak up on you, and you're just like, oh, that's what I should have stopped. Looks like that's going to be it, though. So, looks like, based on the posture there, it appears that Caden may be going to go ahead and go, you know what, I won the first one for free. Why don't I go ahead and go to game 3? Again, with approximately 30 minutes left. Still plenty of time there for that final duel. Both duelists just being like, you know what, I'd like to start this duel off perfectly. And I think I saw what appeared to be some Gammas going in there from the side deck. Cyframe Gamma is still a very powerful card. And a 60-card deck, you can definitely bury that Cyframe driver if that is exactly what we saw. But I'm really curious, man. If we get a chance to interview Caden, I would love to ask about that Naturia Bamboo Shoot. Stops the activation of spells and traps. Of course, you have to, get rid of your Naturias there, but that has become easier and easier and easier. Whether you're playing just a pure Naturia variant, maybe just a small Naturia package, if you're playing a full-on Vernisylph. For those at home still trying to piece together game 1, it looked like he used something to go ahead and get rid of the Fire King Island to clear off the board, and then everybody jumped up with the SP Little Knight there. So really heads-up play. You don't have to sit there and just take it. There's a lot of different decks this format that can handle that. Melodious is the first that comes to mind, right? If they try to Nibiru, you could be like, you know what, Bacha? Why don't we return every single card I have back to the hand? You could just have that Nibiru for nothing, practically. Means I don't lose my monsters, and the token, not nearly as much of a threat if it changes across the field. I know that's happened to me at my locals, playing a little bit of Memento. You build up a 5,000 attack token. You give them a 3,000 Nibiru, and they go ahead and change a heart, and that's game. So you still have to be careful, but not every deck has to worry about that. And these are both those, right? Destroying your own Fire King Island can really clear your own board for great effect. But SP Little Knight still showing why it's such a great card. Again, likely to still have an impact on many tournaments to come. And there are many tournaments literally to come. If you're in here in Texas, we've got the Lubbock Regional next weekend, so safe travels. You are going to go very far north. If you're watching from home or across the world, there's so many national championships. There's still your OTS store events. There's so much Yu-Gi-Oh! To play. So every duel counts. Every duel adds something new to your overall education of this brilliant game, because you're all geniuses. You are. It's just that there are also geniuses that you have to play against, so it is a space race among some of the brightest people in the world. Looks like we are going to go ahead and see presented decks here. So I think we're going to go in. We didn't get to see the full Ragnaraka combo, integrated with Sun Avalon. I would love to see some crazy plant shenanigans, and I think, technically speaking, Caden does have the opportunity to go first here. So hopefully, let's see what we get. Oh, and there it is, the dreaded Sun Seed. And you're like, it's a level 1 normal monster pharaoh. What are you talking about? Okay, fine. Well, check this out. We've got our Sun Avalon Link Monster Dryas in the field. And going through the entirety of the deck here, all 60 cards. There it is, our Sunvine Sowing. All right, Sunvine Sowing. Always nice to see the Sunseed Genius Loci. I remember there was a day and age where I watched the episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains with Spectre, and I'm like, there's no way they're going to make a deck out of this. It's just like 2 episodes. And it's so weird and so complicated. Well, duelists love complicated, so here we are. All right, so moving into our next Sunvine plays here as our co-link monsters go ahead and combine. Going to gain a little bit of life points here. Always helpful when you've got a long, drawn-out duel. Speaking of life points, we've got a Romage power now. It's our Aromaseraphie Rosemary. So it looks like we're going to tribute the Sunside Genius Loci. And no response. Okay, special summoning another plant monster and giving us another quick look at all the monsters that are packed in that deck. Again, it's kind of hard to know when to jump in, even if you had a full hand of interactions, right? Maybe it's Ash Blossom. Maybe it's anything you need. Where do you even start? If you're unaware of this deck, if you haven't played it all the time, no? Is it the Laurel? Speaking of which, hold on to your life point calculator. Since Laurel went to the graveyard, it's time for even more life gain. And now that there was life gain, time for a little search. Certainly a very powerful deck, kind of a glass cannon, right? You can see a lot of different situations where Joel and Lockbird might shut this down. And running 60 cards, you're not always going to have easy access to stuff. Speaking of easy access, picking up that Therion Lily Boreas. So the Demolition Derby that is Therion monsters are also here. Makes sense, though. I mean, you're never going to have a bad draw if every card in your deck is just something. It's certainly a powerful choice before, and so going ahead and equipping that plant monster there to special summon at the Borea and then getting rid of it to get the Disc Coliseum there. And grabbing another Lily. So either holding on to the King Regulus if Caden indeed runs it, or maybe just not running it and just thinking, well, that's not always going to happen. So staring down 4 Link Monsters for the materials. If you pay attention to the left side of the board there, you can see Mr. Orleana just, okay. That's a lot of stuff. Where is this going? Where do I even, how do I even? And a reminder to pay close attention when these matches do come up. So we are going to go ahead and get our Aroma Blend there. Got to make sure that it is steeped to perfection here. And say goodbye to our Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring there with that effect in order to grab and place up a Humid Winds. Well, certainly appropriate. It is Texas after all, so those of you who are coming down the NAWCQ, ooh, pack for the summer, please. It's going to be a scorcher, and I'm not just talking about the fire monsters. So we have the Humid Winds, of course, allowing you to pay a little bit of life points there to grab another Aroma of your choice. And let's see what Caden decides feels right here. It's going to be the Aromage Rosemary. Or excuse me, Jasmine. And Jasmine, just certainly a cool card, giving that additional normal summon when your life points are higher. And currently, we are exactly in that situation. And if you gave him life points, you also get a draw effect. So it feels really good in the middle of this combo. Great extender. Certainly a great card in its own deck, but in this sort of all-plant mismatch, that just feels right here. Speaking of which, we're banishing 3 cards there. Go ahead and get a new fusion monster here. It's pretty good, right, to be able to fuse from the graveyard. Of course, a lot of different decks get to do that, so it's not necessarily as special as it used to be. But the aroma stuff is just, it just keeps going, right? If you're looking for a deck where you're just like, nah, I just want to keep playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then I'm going to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then maybe I'll play Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then I'll play Yu-Gi-Oh!, I think you might have found your new next best deck. So again, getting that Aroma Lilith. I guess that's how you say Aroma Lilith. Yes, Magnolia there on the field. Certainly shows you that all of the plant cards that came out earlier this year, kind of funny that they came out in the U-Bell set since U-Bell is known to play plants. You really just get like every piece of the combo here. We still have to get to a strong end board, right? We mentioned that there really isn't a lot of individuality in these monsters. They sort of show up and they're gone. They show up and they're gone. But as we clinch out round 8 of 9, it is going to only be round 9. I can't believe we're going to miss you guys so much. But this turn is certainly keeping our fires warm as Naturia Carbilla hits the field. And there's the Naturia Bamboo Shoot. This Bamboo Shoot may not be a joke. No, I don't think that's the card to pick up. I'd be reaching over the table and be like, what? No way. As you can see, Hector just like stunned from seeing all this play action here and going to have to find a way to burn all these plants to the ground. So we do have Xyz materials here. So we do get to modulate some levels. Currently, our players are on the bubble here. Winner is likely to be able to clinch out a top 48 finish. The loser of this duel is going to have to work even harder next round and hope their tiebreakers are swell. Oh, and there's the clapping from the crowd against Naturia Bamboo Shoot. Naturia Bamboo Shoot, such a throwback, but remember, when you tribute that Naturia, in this case Naturia Carmella, you've got something better than Jinzo. You really do. And you might be, well, what could be better than Jinzo? I'm an old school duelist. Well, check this out. While you control this face-up card that was tribute summoned by tributing a Naturia monster, your opponent cannot activate spell and trap cards. What? Okay. Okay, well, that's going to lock out a significant portion of Hector's ability to play back here. And unless Fire King Snake Eye is running a slim package of kaiju monsters, maybe Dogaron, right? That's a fire monster. This is going to be a thing. Hey, we'd love to see you here in our crowd, too, that you can cheer at every play. But the only way that happens is if you plan a trip down the game, guys. So, yeah, taking a look at that, like, wait, what? What? There may not be a way out of this. Between Bangalancer, Humid Winds, you know, the Rika Monster, the Naturia Bamboo Shoot, even Therion Disc Coliseum promising a little bit more follow-up in the future. This is crazy. This is crazy. And Bamboo Shoot was like a scary card when it came out. Obviously a little difficult to bring things out, but we do have on the end phase a Bestial Druis Worm that might be able to help out here. Players just conversing amongst themselves, figuring out if there's any additional chain links. But that's a lot, right? There's a reason why when I saw that it was Rika Sun Athlon, I'm like, okay. Okay, this is going to be a good one. Certainly the posture here, after a long day, you always got to be forgiving of your duelists. Because it's a marathon. You know, you've seen the show. Joey was in top 4 and he lost because he fainted. Don't let that be you. So Hector at least has a monster on the board. and dependent, that could sort of steal through and get rid of that Naturia Bamboo Shoot. But nope, looks like Bengal Lancer saying, no, you're going to have to find somebody else to banish. So 2,500 across the board there. Taking a look through the giant graveyard there. That is one turn worth of cards. It's going to be a little difficult here. Hey, we'd love to see you. It's one thing to sit there at home and stare at that deck box and say, that could be me. But to be a duelist is more than just playing the card game. You've got to show up to a competition. Show us what you're all about. It's exactly what Caden and Hector are doing here in our round 8 featured match. Counting out the cards here. Judge just taking a quick look. Of course, we do have our judge there verifying the text of the Bestial Druis Worm. Rika returns. So again, just riveting play here. Just getting the board set up was a masterclass in how plants work. Somewhere plant duelists are beaming proudly. But as we just stare down the field of the Bengal Lancer, Rika Quinn Strenna, and the Naturia Bamboo Shoot properly tribute summon, it's going to be kind of difficult here. Do see Snake Eye Ash into Poplar. Doesn't seem like anything is stopping the effects here. It's going to search a spell. Cool, I guess, a player might say, as they stand controlling the Naturia Bamboo Shoot. Certainly difficult. But the Bamboo Shoot is conveniently placed right in a certain spot. Looks like we might be catching on. But instead, we're going to use the Relinquished Anima to try to get rid of the Bengal Lancer. There's no one right way to get to the top tables. It looks like we're going to go ahead and see how this Poplar may or may not resolve. Taking a look again here. Always have to remember that graveyard is active. Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, a looming threat when you're playing against Snake Eye, but other decks have graveyard effects too. Hector going to go ahead and be able to resolve the Poplar again. Just take a look at the Relinquished Anima. What is it I need to do, Caden thinks? Certainly Hector appreciating the situation here just so much, but able to successfully absorb the Bengal Lancer, so still have your Spell and Trap Negates. Still have your Rika monsters. Between Teardrop the Rika Queen and Naturia Bamboo Shoot, you're not feeling too bad. But removing a material there to go ahead and get that to the graveyard. And so now, instead of going the other way, looks like this very beastly attack, Relinquished Anima, is coming down on the Naturia Bamboo Shoot in the battle phase. Trying to find another way in there. All right, looks like 500 life points off the top there. Certainly a dynamic exchange. Again, when you've been playing this card game as long as we have, you could pretty much just make out what the entire field is just from the small pictures there. It's what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game such an interesting, just general chunk of information in your brain when you think about it. These are practically hieroglyphics. You see that Naturia Bamboo Shoot, and those of us who have been dueling so long, you're like, oh my god, and you not only gain information, but feel something. Feel the weight of this card that's really commanding the field there. As Caden decides, oh, I've got to figure something out, but Naturia Bamboo Shoot lives another day. And with those two face downs, they're not nearly as scary. with the bamboo shoot basically saying, hey, you're not going to activate any of that. Players have basically settled out now. Beyond that sort of exchange with the relinquished anima, we haven't really seen much out of Hector there. Again, without being able to play any spell cards, you can't really get your Snake Eye game plan going. And most of the answers to something like Kashtira Bamboo Shoot may be a spell or a trap. Again, on a bubble match like this, everything counts. But it looks like Teardrop is going to go in for the relinquished anima. Take a brief look at Bangalance of the Resurgent, but it doesn't seem like much is going to happen here. So relinquished anima goes to the graveyard, and Bangalancer with it. And Teardrop managed to get in, but so did a chunk of the life points there, bringing Hector down to a measly 2,700. With about 12 minutes left on the clock on Game 3 of our Round 8 featured match. Looks like we would not be able to grab that, so going to place that card back in the graveyard as Caden pensively thinks between the two cards shuffled in his hand. You think he'd be feeling all right with the Kashtira Bamboo Shoot, but he's starting to feel that pressure. Bestial Druid's Worm attempting to come back down. Just good stuff there. Oh, and I think that looks like it's a... Is that a Starlight Rare? Therion King Regulus. Definitely showing out with that card. Like, no, I'm very serious when it comes to the Therion stuff. But good news is Bangalancer the Resurgent is going to come back. It is Resurgent after all. Banishing a couple of plant monsters there from the graveyard. And about to commit to the board. Come on. Okay, so it's time for our Sunseed Twins. Again, it shows you how powerful the plant deck is. It also overwhelms not only with effects, but just purely with information. If you're not familiar with these combo plays, you really don't know where to jump in, even if you have access as a way to jump in. It looks like we are going to go ahead and move on to Sylvans here. So Sylvan Dance Peone are going to go ahead and shuffle and cut the deck. You know, it's a little difficult to get this lottery. Let's see, out of these three cards. Triple Tactic Salad, miss. Infinite Permanence, miss. Oh, Ghost Ogre, miss. Caden taking a second, realizing, okay. Miss, and miss. We'll go ahead and drop those in the graveyard. Whatever the face down cards are, we'll see, but just being very cautious here. Don't want to get rid of your Kashtira Bamboo Shoot, which is basically just sitting on top of those face down cards. So heavy you will never get out from underneath it. But just making sure to methodically play through here. Now we have seen that. I think Phantom Nightmare and Age of Overlord were probably the first sets where we started to see this again in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you needed not only to set up your first turn play, but also have a resilient follow-up, because if not, you're just kind of just stuck in the game, right? But the follow-ups here do seem to finally be coming out. And bit by bit, we've actually made it here. But at some point, the game state must advance. Need enough attack points here, right? Not just cycling through, but he's doing a really great job of just not giving a single inch, making sure that every play, you know, gets you a little closer. Certainly got to showcase a lot of interesting decks here over the course of the tournament. We've seen Tenpai, we've seen Galaxy, And there's a lot of decks that we didn't get to showcase. Again, with only 9 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! We could only show 9 matches. Will be 1,000 life points off the top there. And then going to go ahead and move on to the Aromatherapy Jasmine effect. You gain, you lose, you lose, you gain. Now, ordinarily, you might be worried about setting a card in the same column as a maybe mysterious infinite impermanence, but that Naturia Bamboo Shoot, you are not going to see those cards flip up. Might as well put an anvil on top of them, they're that heavy. Looks like play actually is going to pass back over. So Hector going to go and draw for turn. Has to find a way into the game somehow. This is probably the only chance he may get. He's been hanging in this duel so far. You would honestly forget how this entire match began, where he was just not confident in his initial plays, accidentally activated the effect of a card that was negated, and got out of the game from there. Now we're seeing the Mystical Druid's Worm again. And the Rika plays keep on coming here. Being able to place that Human Winds face up just did so much work. And getting easy access to Mudon just feels great. Looks like we are going to see the Rika Petal flash back onto the field here. Don't worry, we would love to see some Ojamas too, but it might have to wait until Infinite Forbidden. Hey, Ojama ABC might be a thing. Actually, would be Infinite Forbidden, the legendary light duelist pack. Now we're hitting the Ragnaraka, though. And it's good to see Ragnaraka Samurai Beetle splashing down on the field. Ragnaraka stuff is really good. It's just a crowded deck. When you already had a 60-card plant deck, how do you make room for additional plant cards? Hector and Kane just taking a moment there to discuss what Druid's Worm does. Again, if it disappears, yeah, that Druid's Worm has been activated multiple times, but he is going to make an impact on this duel whether you like it or not. And speaking of impactful cards, looks like we just grabbed ourselves what I think is a Rika Princess based on the lighting there. Again, every one of these plant monsters, as you've seen, just sort of shows up as like, hey, this is me. Introducing, and then they disappear as materials or tributes or discard. So much fun there. Certainly keeping the pressure up. Not giving up at all. Slowly but surely considering options. Now it's time to put the pedal to the metal as we bring back our monsters here. Maybe playing with his food before he eats it, but certainly advancing the game state nonstop here. You can hear the crowd in the background. They're certainly riveted by the action here because, again, one of these two duelists is likely to earn their spot in the North American Championship just a few mere weeks away. We'd love to have you here, too. You could be cheering loud and proud and make your opinions heard. This will be the last regional for the Game Guys season, but don't worry, we'll be back once regionals are here again. Starting with that Infinite Forbidden. So we are going to see the Druid's Worm finally go to the graveyard. And even if it was relevant, remember Naturia Bamboo Shoot is tribute summoned. Speaking of powerful plant monsters that prevent effects, here comes Cactus Bouncer. So Mudan going to say goodbye to her for now, but doesn't change the position here of this duel at all. All right, play action continues. Just an incredible matchup there again, showcasing everything it is that we've got here. Just wild stuff. And again, we will be here in a moment with an interview of our winner. Again, it's not every day that you get to see play action like that. And don't go away, because after our interview, we will also have a round 9 final match, which no matter who they are, we're going to put the 2 undefeated duelists against each other, because they were already going to be playing against each other. But the good news is you get to see it. But you only get to see it if you stay here, so stay put. Our featured match. Again, Caden, just really cool. I'll tell you, when I saw the Naturia Bamboo Shoot, I'm like, no way is that Naturia Bamboo Shoot ever going to hit the board. And then wham, and it never left. So I got to say, what kind of confidence do you have when you're playing Naturia Bamboo Shoot against the deck that's pretty much all spells?
Yeah, I mean, that was my main focus, was getting that out. And sometimes doesn't feel good because I'm like sacrificing a lot of my like interactions to get that out, and then I'm having to protect it. It only has 2k attack. But no, I mean, it feels nice. It really does.
Well, I got to say, beyond the MVP for your side of the board being Naturia Bamboo Shoot, we saw that Druid's Worm just over and over and over and over. So talk to me about your process of choosing what you used against it and how you decided, like, okay, this is how I'm going to handle Druid's Worm.
So, like, of course, the rough part is, like, Princess and whatever is not destroying the Druid's Worm from hand. It's just keeping it in hand, and of course I have enough lights and darks to keep on recycling. But yeah, I mean, that was just my main focus. I was hoping he wasn't going to get any cash cards. I mean, normal summon or special Fenrir, I feel like just beats me. But yeah, no, I mean, that just one was pain.
Well, you're doing pretty good. You're doing great. Going into the next round, you are X2. Is that correct?
Yes.
So X2 in round 9 pretty much means you are locked in for an invite. Did you already have your invite for the NAWCQ?
I already do have my invite. I'm just kind of sticking in, seeing what happens, because you never know.
Just feeling yourself now. There's a lot of famous plant players out there. I'm not saying you're the next Jessica Robinson, but if you go to the NAWCQ, are you taking the 60-card stack, or are you going to experiment out there in the field?
I mean, I'm always going to experiment. Of course, she gives the best advice. I watch a lot of her videos. But, yeah, I mean, I like bamboo shoot, and that's kind of my spice. Some people are doing it, but, yeah, no, I mean, she has a very good list. And kind of with Rika, you just do what you feel.
Just play Yu-Gi-Oh! Just like, oh, these are cards. Okay,
yeah,
cool,
it's kind of
cool.
just what you like and what you want to do. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way with Rika.
I think that's how the 60-card stack happens, because you're just like, I don't know, cards. Well, here's the good news again. You don't really have too much to worry about. You just got to make it through the next round, so just hang in there. Just dust yourself off. It's always about one duel at a time. And speaking of one duel at a time, we're going to go ahead and let our duelist here go ahead. So, Caden,
right,
great job there. I mean, everybody's been applauding you because it is just a masterclass at play it. So if you just want to go ahead, we'll go ahead and return you to the system. You can hear the applause out there in the crowd.